Well, hello, and welcome to the Holmes Cinema Clues, Masks, Mirrors, and Media, a show where film, television, and theater become a lens for understanding neurodiversity. Here, we go beyond the screen to explore the characters who mask, mirror, and struggle to belong, often hiding in plain sight. Join our hosts Dan and Dr. Stephanie Holmes as we invite you to step into the role of cinema detective to examine how autism, ADHD, and other neurodivergent experiences are portrayed in the media. This isn't therapy. It's not diagnosis. Rather, it's thoughtful conversation mixed with cultural analysis for a deeper look inside the stories that shape how we see ourselves as well as one another. So, settle in, sharpen your lens, and get ready to follow the clues with your hosts, Dan and Dr. Stephanie Holmes. Are you ready? Let's begin.
Every story has a subtext.
Every character has a code.
Where some see a script.
We see a pattern.
I'm Cinema Agent Stephanie, the autism researcher, autism specialist, and autism ally.
And I'm Dan. I'm the inside man.
So welcome to Holmes Cinema Clues. And today we're going to talk about the neurodivergent magnet and perhaps some hiding in plain sight. Today is kind of Dan's show, getting inside of Dan's mind with the neurodivergent magnet. We're going to play some clips of things that have always been interesting to Dan, but I think, are you going to start us off with what the topic is,
Yes.
an outlier?
So today's topic is the outlier. Outliers come in a lot of forms. Today, we're going to give an example of what an outlier is, and then we'll talk through a couple of examples, and then we're going to end with hopefully something useful.
Okay, we'll see. So maybe don't go into the complete info dump on outliers because there are neurotypical people watching too. So start us off with outliers.
So outliers. In a just general sense, outlier is someone, something, some point of interest that lives outside of the band of whatever is defined as normal.
Okay, are you going to show us a picture?
I am going to show us a picture, but I have to set it up first.
Okay.
So if you are familiar with the concept of revenue management, that is the idea that is pricing a product based on data. So when something costs more, it's what drove it to cost more. Usually it's demand. So if it's a hotel, we all know that you pay more for a hotel if you are going to a city and it's the World Series. If you're going to somewhere that is not true for, your price is going to be less than, right? It's all about the location. It's all about what's going on. It's about the time of year. Are you going there for the beach and it's February, or are you there for the beach and it's June, August, something like that?
July 4th.
So with that, let's get an example. So here is a made up revenue chart. It is a fictitious hotel, and you can see the blue line running through the middle is the average price of this fictitious hotel. The light blue around it are the bands of what is determined to be normal. The dots are what the prices were paid, and the red dots are the outliers. So outlier in this definition is I am outside of my band. So I am outside because it's too low. Maybe somebody gave it away. Maybe there was a system problem, maybe. Or it's higher than the normal because that particular moment there happened to be some kind of other thing going on that we didn't expect.
Okay, so this is outliers in revenue management, and your favorite characters in media, books, shows, music tend to be outliers.
Yes.
Outside of what?
This is only here to show an example visually that I hope.
And just remember, Dan was in charge of this one, y'all. So keep that in mind.
It conveys what outlier
is. The inside man.
So with that said, let's move in. Let's transition that to outliers in maybe people or characters, maybe fictional characters, maybe a song, maybe a band, maybe somebody in real life. So let's switch to that. So that's the same kind of idea. They are this kind of outlier, now sees things others don't, has a different kind of observation. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they say things that others don't. Maybe it's appropriate, maybe it isn't. Mm-hmm. Maybe they use phrasings or analogies, or their
Semantics, syntax.
Conversation doesn't convey what many would think of it that way.
Sometimes it might come out of left field.
Yes.
Mid-thought.
Mid-thought.
Not always processed.
So with that, there's also, so we'll get into this later, but there's also something that the reason the outlier, and I hope we get to end this way, depending on what time left, is the outlier also probably signals something. There's a point, there is an observation that is important, or at least asks us to look deeper. Okay. It's an ask for curiosity. So with that, let's try to see if I can make all of these other things work.
Are we going to movies or are we going to do Far Side?
We're going to do a movie. So our first movie is going to be, I need to set it up. This is our
first time trying to do it, talk, and all of that. So bear with us. You don't have to put judgy comments in there. We're trying.
So we've got a movie for
it's called Monty Python.
One of my favorites, Monty Python. And this is the scene with Tim the Enchanter,
who you're calling the outlier of the story.
Yes. So this is, so if you're not familiar with the movie, it is a 70s movie made in England.
British humor.
And we are well into the movie at this point, but Tim the Outlier will introduce himself.
And this is an irreverent movie. So if you have children, maybe perhaps this isn't one. Watch this one first, because Dan kind of likes some irreverent humor sometimes. Do you remember the bridal shower that you came in that?
Oh, at our bridal.
At our sleeping beauty bridal shower.
I do not remember that was true.
Right. Forward.
Can't remember if we had Coke in that stuff.
I probably was just doing
I think that. And I just want to be like mid-hop, like going like this.
What manner of man are you that can summon up fire without flint or tinder?
I am an enchanter.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
So with that, we have now met Tim. He is definitely not like the others.
Nope.
He wears Ram's cap.
Weird thing. Yeah.
Right. So he stood out. He was capable of throwing fire for reasons that are just not explained at all.
And you just don't expect he's going to be like Tim.
Right.
You expect it's going to be some like British name or some Latinized something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we'll start there. And here's the next scene. This is
street a mile wide. It's a killer.
Get stuff.
He'll do you a treat, mate.
Oh, yeah? Manky Scots git.
I'm warning you.
What's he do? Nibble your bum?
He's got huge, sharp. He can leap about. Look at the bones.
Go on, boss. Chop his head off. Right, silly little bleeder. One rabbit, two coming right up.
Oh, I just stopped at the right time.
Look.
There we go. Yeah, before it gets a little gray.
It's just made of blood. So here we go. Tim is obviously even eccentric when he's telling you about a story, and he didn't get believed about the bunny.
Well, so they came to him, right, looking for him because he was a sage, and he's wowing them with the fire. He's Tim. He's trying to get them on their quest. He's warned them about the bunny, and we'll see how that goes. That did not go well for them.
So here is the next scene, and they are enjoying their banter. Getting a little bit better at this.
Jesus Christ! I warned you.
I've done it again.
I warned you, but did you listen to me? Oh, no, you knew it all, didn't you? Oh, it's just a harmless little bunny, isn't it?
Well, it's always the same. I always tell them. Do they listen to me? Right. Oh, no.
He knew a thing. His eccentricity
Right.
kept him from being believed.
Right.
At least presumably. Right. But the whole point, so it's outlier.
Well, they weren't believed. The money attacked him.
Right. But his presentation was perhaps one of the reasons that they did not believe that he was giving him it was native. He was local there. It was clearly a lot of bones. He had evidence of what was going on. And yet in all of that, they did not.
They did not heed the warning.
Call. Yes, you heard the same word I did. So with that, let's switch to a different one.
All right, we going Far Side or are we going music?
Let's do Ender, because Ender is, so if you hadn't heard of this, this is a movie that was actually started as a book, Ender's Game. Really fun. Really fun book. So I read the book first and then I watched the movie. The premise, this is a sci-fi movie. It's actually kind of good. It was made about a decade or so ago now. But the book is really fun. The Ender will set the stage. This is pulled off of this is the best clip I could find. This was pulled off of the trailer for the movie. The premise is it's sci-fi and a world, presumably Earth, right, it was attacked by an alien species. So now the people in charge are working to, how can we create a way to get back before they get us again? So they're raising an army. They're creating and crafting commanders that have special capabilities. So I'm not going to tell you, and I won't tell you the end of the story because you might want to go watch it. But in this case, Ender is the protagonist in the movie. He's the one that saves the day. And what's in this clip is really what is the heart of what we're after, what the lady says there towards the end. So let's get this one going. I set this one up a little bit better than I set the others.
Here we go. Fire! I've never seen anyone do that.
So that's really all there was. The point there was Ender, obviously you can tell from the clip, is not commander. He's grown, went through the army, went through the bottom, went all the way to the top. He was a young kid, and they were growing commanders from the youth of the country instead of from seasoned commanders. They were looking for special capabilities. And that particular statement, what the lady said, was really what we're after. I've never seen anybody do that. That's the outlier moment for Ender. And if you read the whole thing, he really has a different perspective on how he approaches tactics and strategy.
I think taking back to when we did the Meet the Squad, the four of y'all said there was like a shared affinity for mythology, dystopia, sci-fi. That seemed to be a theme that all the squad, for different reasons, tended to be drawn to the style of movie. So in the outlier character, the sage, the one who does it differently, the one who's not believed, your humor, you also have tended to like intelligent humor, kind of sometimes sarcasm, the British, the dry, witty, punny, and also a little bit irreverent or just a little strange. So are we going to do music or are we going to do Far Side?
Let's switch. Let's end with Far Side.
You're going to end with Far Side?
Yeah.
Okay. So picture this. Dan never hid himself or his affinity for the things he loves. So 16-year-old me gets in a car with Dan, and this is what we're listening to.
So this was this was a very fun song back in the day. I was in high school when I was first introduced to this band. And I very much enjoyed this. And then everybody in the family got to enjoy it as well. So here we go.
All right, put it in the comments if you've actually ever heard of this band before.
Now hit the go button.
And though I once preferred unyielding beings company, they failed before the monolith that towers over me.
Oh, fun.
The statue got me high. The statue got me high. The truth is where the sculptors chipped away the line. The statue.
And how do you not like a song that has an astronaut playing a snare drum?
For real. Yeah, it's interesting. Again, Dan did not hide his unique love of music. As he's setting up the next one for Case Files, because I'm calling this, a few years ago, I wondered about, I don't think that's starting in the right place, if that's where it's cued. That's where it's supposed to stop. A few years ago, I wondered about this band. I don't think you named them. They Might Be Giants. So for Case Files, because I think they were hiding in plain sight. So we started with the neurodivergent magnet on like Dan's world inside and all that. So I'm going to put a link to this in the show notes. Autistic Culture Podcast did a deep dive on They Might Be Giants. These were some of the things that I got from that because I listened to it. They Might Be Giants began in 1982, and estimated 90% of their fan base identifies as unapologetically autistic. John Linnell, who was one of the founders, came forward and said that he was autistic and that some of the songs do have some themes. For example, there's one called Upside Down Frown, which is supposed to be about masking and emotional labor. Dr. Worm, which is a special interest anthem. Rejection sensitivity, burnout, and pattern recognition woven into storytelling. I think we might have Istanbul, not Constantinople, but that is autistic hyperfocus, educational info dumps, and joyful pattern of play. And then in that same podcast that I listened to, both of the founders actually would say that they are neurodivergent. And so if you're kind of noticing that theme. So is this one Istanbul?
Yes.
Okay.
So here we go.
New York was once New Amsterdam. Why they changed it, I can't say. You just liked it better that way. Istanbul was Constantinople, now it's Istanbul. Now Constantinople, been a long time gone. Constantinople, why did Constantinople get the works? That's nobody's business but the Turks.
Videos are a little interesting too. Not all of them had it interesting. Oh, we couldn't do that. That's not where I cued it, by the way. So I didn't put that part in there, just so you know. All right. Do we have one more? Because this one became the family.
And this one became the fun family one. When let's see, here it is.
Because I remember the first time we shared it with the kids, and they first thought it was weird. Holmes Family Song.
Cube, cube, get it. Cube, cube, get it. Cube, cube, get it. Cube, cube, get it. Spider. He is our hero. Spider. Get rid of Spider. Step on Spider. Spider. We love you, Spider.
I promise not to kill you.
That's a spider. That's another weird family thing. If someone saw a spider, it was step on, get rid of. Okay, so that kind of leads us into the Far Side. Well, what drew you to Far Side? I was looking up anything about Gary Lawson. Couldn't find anything that specifically said that he was neurodivergent, but I did find a lot of stuff that said he was highly intellectual. And so high intelligence, high IQ is another form of neurodivergence because, again, it's outside the bell curve. If you're a standard or two above the deviation, is that right?
Yes, standard deviation.
Standard deviation. Then you're also exceptional. So probably, I mean, Gary Lawson is a very punny. They're very out there.
He thinks different.
Oh, he thinks very different.
So here is just one. So I didn't go find through my Gary Larson archives.
Okay, you found one.
I just found one that I liked as an example. He was popular when we were growing up. Was in back when you could get a newspaper and you'd open the comics. It was in the comics section, and you could get him because I read that one and Calvin and Hobbes. Those are my two. I read both of those as often as there was a paper to be found.
I like Hagar the Horrible.
And this one was, this is just an example of it. It's just really fun. It's just really fun. So it's obvious, right? It's standing right there in front of you, and everybody in caveman world has a pet rock, right? And it's pulling the obvious out and making it funny. So and he does that in everything, in a lot of his stuff.
And then sometimes you had to really think about it. Sometimes it was against the grain. Sometimes it was a little irreverent. Sometimes dark. Sometimes
Yes,
you
it
like dark
wasn't-
stuff too.
It wasn't as dark as it could. It wasn't dark like. There was monsters.
Sometimes it was gross. Sometimes it was gross.
Everyone, but not. But it was that Stickman kind of gross. It wasn't bloody and gory and anything like that. Sometimes the topics landed, and sometimes it was really fun when they didn't land. It's like, what is that? What's he trying to
That's
tell me?
even weird for me. I don't even get what he's saying. But that also reminds me, even in reading, you were drawn to Don Quixote. You were drawn to E.E. Cummings.
Yes.
I never understood anything from E.E. Cummings, but you were drawn to that.
So Don Quixote is the next character. He's actually the last one. We'll end on him. I actually forgot him to talk about earlier. I don't have any kind of media for this one. It just didn't really work to find what somebody else would have decided that looked like. But this is a 16th century Spanish novel, which some argue that this was the introduction of the novel to the literary world. It's a very large book. It's incredibly funny. Incredibly funny.
Funny is also in the eyes of the beholder.
So everybody, I think if you know Don Quixote, you're familiar with the jousting windmills. And that wasn't the only thing that is in there of that ilk. But as the story continues, you start to get the idea that maybe Don Quixote sees things that are real that other people have let not happen to them anymore. That everything has become so normal they don't observe the same as they used to. So yes, he mistakes windmills for giants, but he actually still thinks there might be giants. I didn't actually plan that.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
But right, the fantasy,
Do you
the
think that maybe
fantastical.
where it came from?
I don't know. I didn't actually.
Okay, now I'm going to have to figure out. I'm going to see where they got their name from.
But he still has a desire to go after the fantastical, what extra normal it might there be. Everyone else in society is given up on there even being a giant, much less that windmill could be one. So there's a thing there that says I can recognize, I can appreciate him for reminding me that there are things that I've forgotten, I've quit appreciating, that I've just gone into normal for. So lending that towards what does the outlier mean? That's, I started with the revenue band and the outlier.
All right. Started with revenue management for us.
I started with revenue management and the outlier as a price on a specific day in a specific location, and it was outside of our expected band. The outlier for me, tying all of that together, it's outside the expected band. And what are you curious about? Because that's true. In the revenue management, should you have gone to check to see if there was a event going on that wasn't in your planning, such that the following year, when the event comes back, you'll have a better information for pricing, because special events draw large groups, right? Things like that. In the case of Don Quixote, when you're being reminded simply that maybe there are giants,
they might be.
It breaks you out of in that world when they're just agrarian, they have to go and they've lost the magic of fantasy, right? It's every day is the same. I wake up, I pick up that over there, and I go grow my garden and make it work and grow and do the things that make life be practical. But I've forgotten to be fun with it. I've forgotten to imagine. I've lost the creative inside it. With Ender, it's that just
the
because
person nobody expects. What's it, the Alan Turing? Sometimes the person that the world expects the least of can do like the most important things, or something like that.
That phrase was in that was in the movie.
Oh, was it?
No, not in that movie. It was in the Alan Turing movie.
The Imitation Game, which we'll have to do the Imitation Game.
But in that one, it's the same general idea. Here's a kid that upends known strategy in their war against this alien civilization, right? they didn't expect to be able to do the things that he said would work. And you watch the movie and he gets a lot of pushback and all of that. But he did. He saw it different and it made it work. And that's, for me, that's the outlier in general is do you allow a voice that doesn't sound, that doesn't look, that doesn't resonate necessarily immediately to speak to you? Or are you just going to live inside your little normal band and move about the day and not
you miss some things if you're only looking in the normal band or the bell curve, if we're using that. So we used today as kind of a long setup because we thought people might not understand when we have Steve Taylor come on why you were drawn to that music. So we are excited that coming up, I think next time, Steve Taylor joined us because Dan loved his music. You'll hear him talk about that when we're talking to Steve Taylor. And then there's a movie that Steve Taylor was the lead producer on called Sketch. And we'll be talking about that and how that kind of comes into the theme of home cinema clues. So with all of that in mind, we also have Temple Grandin is going to be on this season talking about movies and docuseries that were made about her. So obviously coded characters because it's about her. She is known to be on the spectrum. So thank you for joining us for this segment. Thank you for your patience as we're trying to figure out new teleprompters, new screens, trying to sometimes do, what do you call it? Like live reaction or whatever. We'll see. It'll change from time to time. So remember to like, subscribe, put down in the comments if you actually knew who They Might Be Giants are, maybe what your favorite They Might Be Giant song is, or your favorite thing that maybe was a little bit different or an outlier too.
We had to call quite a few things out of our list of talking points to.
We might get to go into that when you and Sydney have your discussion and then y'all do your script off with each other. Maybe you can kind of come back because her theme is belonging, seeking to belong. Yours is the outlier. Doesn't necessarily always want to belong. Is kind of fine not belonging and living.
We didn't talk about that aspect.
Living on the outside. So we want to remind you that there is no crime in being different. So
embrace uniquely you.
All right. I was like, is he going to do it or not? Bye.
Bye, everybody.